G'day everyone, Aussie Dollar Man here. I'm calling it now. The Australian dollar has bottomed, at least for now. Here's what comes next. If you've been following the news or following the price of the Aussie dollar, it has been pretty bearish. News channels, YouTube videos, news articles, they've all been saying the same thing. Aussie dollar's down, down, down. All the news is bad. Well, I was reflecting today that the low is in. Where are all the positive news stories? Well, positive news doesn't really sell. People like to focus on the negative. I was looking at the Aussie dollar. I think it's going up, so I thought I'd throw a quick video together to show you my reasoning behind that. Now, reasons that I like this low, firstly, it came in on my forecast date that I gave out in the middle of December last year. The low came in on Monday, the 3rd of February. I did note the 3rd of February as a date to watch for this market. Secondly, it's sitting on the trend line from the September high to the November lower top. We'll take a look at that chart in a moment. Not the best technical indicator in isolation, but it generally does provide good confirmation at the end of a move, and we do have that. Thirdly, a gap down. A failed move, so it didn't continue in that direction, and then it turned around and it closed the gap. Gaps in the FX market are extremely rare, and it's no surprise the market then turned around and very quickly filled that gap and then continued on. So the failed gap, Gann would call that an exhaust gap, happening at the end of a move, and it's not a surprise that we have turned around in the other direction. And finally, we've been running down for 4 months. At some point, it was always going to be time for a pullback. These moves don't just happen and run down forever on the monthly chart, month after month after month, falling, falling, falling. There are ebbs and flows. It's like the tide. It will run down, then it will go back up. It will run down, it will go back up. So let's have a look at the charts. There's that low, the 3rd of February low. I'm on a monthly chart here. You can see that after a failed move to the upside or a failed breakout to the upside, we've come down 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're into our 5th month down there. Technically, it's just over 4 months because it was the end of September. It was the 30th of September that top came in, but it's very bearish. We took out these strong double bottoms here. We took out that major low there from October of 2023, and we've taken out our October 2022 low as well. So we've cleaned out 4 pretty major lows there, and no wonder everything is quite bearish. But often when the news is at its most bearish, that's often the time when the market's going to go in the other direction, at least for a little while. And let's take a look at that now on the charts. There's the monthly chart running down there. As you can see, we're only early into February, but you can see we're quite strong, closing quite near the high and not too far away from last month's, from January's high. So if we take that out, obviously that's the end, confirmed end of that monthly downswing. On the weekly chart there, after running down, lower bottoms, lower tops, lower bottoms, a little bit of sideways through here, but another attempt to go down. The market rejected that move and kicked it back up, and it's gone up and quite strongly from there and made a strong rally over 2 cents from that low. Again, gaps in currency markets are very rare. We tried to go down and then we closed that gap. I'd expect that to continue on now. If you think about this move down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months down, you'd have to think at least 6 to 8 weeks running up from here in that next move. It's not going to run down for 4 months and then do 2 days up and then continue down. Once we clean out, say this weekly top here, and we start heading up, I'd expect us to run until at least the middle of March. And I'm targeting around the 65 cent point as my first turning point, and then we'll look from there. Here's the trend line that I was talking about, running from that top down to the lower top. You can see we traded below there, below there, below there. Once we broke above there, we then came back to sit on there, which is quite common for markets to do. And if it can hold that trend line, often it will hold right on there. In this case, we poked through there and then rallied quite strongly above there. To me, that does look quite strong. The final thing that I'll say looks very strong is when you run a resistance card over here. Now, this comes from Gann's book, How to Make Profits in Commodities. In chapter 2, he talks about measuring the ranges of fluctuation and breaking them down into eighths. Some people do it with eighths. Some people do it with the Fibonacci numbers. So you've got 62.5% here. The Fibonacci number would be 0.618. Using the tool this way, I've never been a big fan of 0.618. The market, if it gets close there, it normally goes to that 62.5% level. The Fibonacci numbers do play an important part, but not at this level of analysis. That's in my experience and my opinion there. But you can see a move running down for 4 months. That ran down 8.5 cents. We've retraced a quarter of that move, or 25% of that move, in just 2 days. So it's a very, very strong rally off that low there. So again, more signs that the Aussie dollar low is in. Now, where will it go from here? As I said, my first target is up here. If we go and do all of this in one weekly swing, well, we're going to have a weekly pullback, and then almost certainly we'll have more upside on that weekly chart there. I still think, as I said, we're looking for a lower top, and I would be looking at the 50, 62, and 75% levels on this chart here. We might come back to those in the middle of March, and we'll have a look where we're sitting on those. Of course, we'll be tracking that on the Aussie Dollar Insights show that I do every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Sydney time. But looking at those levels, I'd say there's a pretty good chance one of those is going to call that next monthly lower top on this market, and that will be the better place to go short from. Overall, I still think this market is bearish, in particular the last quarter or last 3 or 4 months of the year. I think September is going to be a very bearish month and a very dangerous month to be holding Aussie dollar long. But a lot will happen between now and then, so we'll track that as we go. For example, I don't think we're going to run up to September and then crash. I think we might run up and then we'll be heading down again. And maybe it's going a little bit sideways, but September will be the trigger that we see a big kick to the downside there. Now, as a trader, I'm always prepared, and people say, oh, you're having a bet each way. Well, as a trader, we're allowed to do that. We're not locked into long-term calls saying it must go up here, it must go down there. We're wrong. As traders, we get in, we take a position, we have a small stop loss. If we're wrong, we get kicked out for a small loss. If we're right, we make a large profit on the trade, and that's how we make our money as traders. If this market is going up, it would have to break this top here and break above that 75% milestone in this monthly swing. If it does that, I will change my mind and say, yes, I think this market is going up. But until then, I'll maintain my bearish bias, which is, yes, we're heading up now, and I think we'll head up at least until the middle of March, so another 6 weeks or so. But after that, I think we'll turn around and have a little bit more downside there, and we'll see how the market looks there. Okay, so looking ahead, first target 65 cents. I think that could happen next week at a stretch, but definitely by the end of February. I think the Aussie dollar will run up until at least mid-March from here. So I'm recording this on the 6th of February. It's uploaded on the 6th of February. I think we're going up until at least the middle of March. Beware of September later in the year. I'll talk more about that in other videos, or you can check out my video under the FX forecasts playlist on this channel. And finally, if you'd like to keep up to date with the Aussie dollar, join me on Sundays for Aussie Dollar Insights, 7 p.m. Sydney time on this channel. Thanks for watching. All the best with your trading, and bye for now.